Today's video is going to review scanning or scan to email on your Sharp MFP. Your control panel may look a little bit different than the one I'm standing next to. We do have the ability to customize your control panel, and your sales representative and your key contact have worked together to optimize it so you will have the best experience. So when you look at your control panel, it may look a little bit different, but once you get into that email button, it's going to look the same. So let's get started. When I choose email, and some people, maybe all they want to do is just put their name in and hit that start button. So I can come here, and there's multiple different ways to put an email address in. You may have it already pre-configured. Your IT department has done this for you, and an address book, and I can just choose a name, hit OK, and hit start. And away you go. It's that simple. You also have the ability, if your IT department has set it up, to do a global address search. So you can do it that way as well. You would enter the first couple of letters of your first or last name, depending on how that global address book works, and then hit that search start button to find a name. Additionally, you have touch to input address. So maybe an email address isn't in the global address book because you're allowed to send outside your organization for scanning. If that's the case, you can enter in that email address using the QWERTY keyboard or the retractable keyboard under the control panel. So once you've got that email address set up in there, you're going to hit that start button and away you go. You also do have the ability, though, to type in a subject line, as you can see, and we can do direct entry here. You can type in a file name, or under options with this little arrow here, I can even type in a reply to and body of text. Over here on the left-hand side are the main functions that you may want to adjust for the document that you're going to scan and turn digitally. You have color mode. This machine is set to auto. So what it means is that when I put multiple pages in, it's going to read each page and determine whether it's color or it's black and white page. Or you can do full color or grayscale. With auto, it's actually going to scan the document handler down slightly because it is taking the time to read each page. Under resolution, this device has been defaulted to 200 dpi. Yours may be at 300, depending on how your IT department has set it up. You can make adjustments, though, to up to 600 or down to 100. Keep in mind that if you change it to 600, your file size is going to be much larger. And then under file format, you have the ability to scan in multiple different file formats. You can scan as a TIFF, as an XPS file, JPEG, PDF, PDF A1A, or PDF A1B. You also have the ability to scan a PDF as an encrypted PDF, compact PDF, or even ultra-fine. When I scan as an encrypted PDF, it actually asks me to put in a password. So when I come back here, say OK to demonstrate that. I'm going to hit the start button, and you can see right away it says, please enter in an encrypted PDF password. I would enter that in, and then I need to make sure that I remember it and share it with whomever else needs to have access to that file. I'm going to clear everything out that I've told it to do, so I'm going to start fresh, and I'm going to hit that clear all button. I also have the ability to go home if I get completely lost and not sure where I started, where I need to start. So I can hit that home button and go back to that main screen. I'm going to go back into email, and I want to talk about some more options under file format. Under file format, not only can I do an encrypted PDF, but if I choose this OCR option, now I can create a searchable PDF. We also have the ability, when I make the selection for DocX, XLX, or PPTX. So I'm scanning in back into Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. and I'm doing optical character recognition. This is a light version of OCR, so it's going to do a good job, but you may have to make some changes and edits, and it's really going to depend on how the original document that you're scanning is set up. So there's some very different features and functions of how to scan files in and what format. The other thing I do want to point out is the specified pages per file at the very bottom. When I check that, I have the ability to change the quantity. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to parse out pages. If I have 10 pages that I put in that document handler, and I choose specified pages per file as 2, it's going to parse out every 2 pages, and I'm going to get 5 PDFs back. So that's what specified pages does. I do have the option to choose original size, so I can do a 2-sided scan job. So my documents are 2-sided. I just tell it it's 2-sided, and I can scan as a 2-sided tablet or 2-sided booklet, and that's really how the scanning is going to appear, or the file that it produces and how that is read. And then I have the ability to adjust my exposure. So maybe my file is really light and I need to make it darker so I can read the digital file. So we've given you a lot of tools in order to make changes and affect the actual digital image that you're scanning. So again, we've got file format, my original size, my exposure, and my resolution. And depending on the document, you may have to play around with it a few times so you get the results that you want. I'm going to hit clear all because I do want to show you another feature on here, and that's that preview button. Preview is available on copying as well. So if I would come in here, we'll scan again, and if I put some documents in that document handler and I hit the preview button, it's going to scan my documents and I'm going to get to see what they look like. This may be helpful because maybe I've got a large file that I want to scan and I want to make sure they're all scanned appropriately. I can thumb through here and I see, oh, whoops, I've got one that's turned upside down. Well, I can either correct it and rescan it back in again, or I have the ability to use this edit button in the lower left with the little pencil icon. When I make that selection, now it opens up my screen and I can touch that page, and now I can rotate it how I need it to be. I also have the ability to move a page around, so I just hold down and I move it over till it turns green, and now I can drop it. I also have the ability over here in this, over on the right side, I call this an action bar. So if I needed to delete a page, I can either drag it down to this trash can, or I can highlight it and I can just delete that page. The other option that we have here in this action bar is something called erase specified range. When I make that selection, I can now thumb through or tap through to find that document that I need to hide some information. Maybe it's an invoice or something like that. So I hit, and I want to hide birth dates, addresses, phone numbers, what have you. I'm going to create a start point and an end point just by tapping. And now I'm able to make this box and adjust it and move it around on the page however I need it to be in order to basically white out that image. And I can do that up to 4 times, as you can see on the lower right, my 4 specified ranges. Once I've made that change, I'm going to hit execute. Now I can hit exit, and I'll edit end again. And we are going to use this little arrow to hide all that. And now I can thumb through, and now I can see that I've got a big white box on that document. And that's much easier than having to take documents that you need to scan and making a copy of it to alter it with whiteout or a black marker or something like that. And then I can just simply hit the start button, and I'll have that file in my email. I'm going to hit the clear all button. And I want to point out a couple of other things that may be helpful for you. As you can see over on the right-hand side in this action bar, we have something called Send Destination Link. When I hit that, when I put a check there, instead of actually scanning a digital file or an attachment to an email, because maybe your IT department has restrictions on the file size that you can email, what it will do is it will send an email to you, but then you're going to have a link to retrieve that scan on the hard drive of the machine. And we recommend that you retrieve it by the end of the day, because your IT department will set some limits on how long that file can be stored on the hard drive. But Send Destination Link is one way to work around scanning a large file that ends up being a very large file size. Under Others, we do have some other features that may be helpful for you. One is Job Build. With Job Build, our document handler holds 150 sheets of paper, but what happens if you have 300 pages that you need to scan? Instead of having to break it up into 2 separate scan jobs, once you select Job Build, you can put your documents in the document handler, scan your first 150, and then load in your next 150 into that document handler and just follow the instructions. So you want to scan another 150, and I can keep doing this all day long. And then once I'm done, I can either hit preview or I can hit read end. And now my 300 documents have been scanned to me if the file size wasn't that big. But I can also use that Send Destination Link as well to retrieve that file. I'm going to clear all and go back into Others and point out a couple of other features that may be helpful for you. One is Blank Page Skip over here on the right-hand side, about middle way down. When I choose Blank Page Skip, I have the option to do Skip Blank Page or Skip Blank and Back Shadow. So if I were to load single-sided documents and two-sided documents in, and we'll do this as an example just so you can see what the message is that appears. When I hit that and I tell it original size is two-sided booklet, and I hit the start button, it says you scanned 2 sheets, but there were actually 4 pages. Do you want to send just those 2 pages and execute the job? And I have the option to cancel or say OK. We're going to go ahead and cancel. But that's what Blank Page Skip does. Under Others, clear everything out. We're going to go back here under Email. And I want to point out a couple of other functions that may be helpful for you. One is Card Shot. If you're scanning things like insurance cards or something like that, I turn that on. And what it will allow me to do is it opens up a space basically wide enough for a business card. Those are the pre-programmed dimensions. And you can make adjustments as well. And I can turn it on, and I can also do Fit to Send size. When I make that selection, I say OK. Let's go ahead and do preview. Oops. It's going to scan that business card or that insurance card, and now it asks, do you want to do another one? And I can just simply flip that card over, or I can put another card down. And I'm going to hit start, and I can again do this as many times as I want. And when I'm done, I hit read end. And now you can see my business card and the message that I put on the back of that business card. And then I can hit start, and it's going to scan it back to me. We're going to clear it all out and go back into Others. And I'm going to point out an option called Business Card Scan. When I make that selection and turn it on, I now have the ability to scan multiple business cards, place them on the glass. I do need to leave the document handler up, as you see in the message in the upper left-hand corner. And now I can lay all of those on the glass, as many as I want, and just leave a little space around each of them. And I can scan them back as V cards, or I can scan it back as a CSV file because this device has optical character recognition on it. So now when I receive that CSV file, I can make some edits to it, and I have it in an Excel file. I can load it up into a CRM. So that's what Business Card Scan does. The other feature on here that you may be new to you and be helpful is one called multi-crop. With multi-crop, it simply, again, allows you to scan things like business cards or maybe receipts. Maybe you have to process a lot of receipts on a monthly basis. And then what it allows me to do is put those receipts on the glass, lay them out, leave some space around each of them. And I could do business cards, I could do photographs, what have you. And when I make that selection and hit scan, it's going to scan each of those receipts back as a single PDF. So that saves a lot of time versus having to do them one at a time and scan back. So with that, the basic instructions of scan to email are complete. As you notice, there are a lot of other functions under others. And if you have interest in learning about those, please contact your sales representative. Thank you for your time today.